Hello and welcome to the Beyond the Mirror podcast. This week we will talk with Kim about her struggles with postpartum depression and how she has gotten through it and her birth story and all the crazy things. So please stay tuned and listen up because her story is quite inspiring. Hey everyone, we've got Kim here.
Crazy
So excited to have her here. And she's going to share her story about postpartum and other life stories. So here she is. Go ahead, Kim.
Okay. Well, a little bit about me. I got married in 2020, as most people did. I feel like that have had
Same girl.
babies around the same time as me. Yeah, and so we did not want a baby during the pandemic. We were like, let's get married and let's wait like a couple of years and then we'll get pregnant. Well, um, I got pregnant in 2021, like literally a month before our first year anniversary, and I was not expecting to be pregnant so soon. I got pregnant with Weston super quick. Weston's my little boy, and it was like kind of frustrating because I told Luke, I was like, you gotta know, Luke's my husband, you gotta know that we may not get pregnant for a while. Like, we just don't know what it's gonna be like. Um, and he was like, oh, it's fine. Like, whatever. My husband's so chill. So he was like, we'll just try, and if we don't get it, then we don't get it. And I going into it, I was like, okay, this may take a couple months. It's really rare to get pregnant on the first try. Well, I got pregnant on the first try. And I was like, I'm blessed because I am so lucky to get pregnant so quick, but I was not expecting it that fast. And so I was kind of freaking out. For a while during my pregnancy, I was like, I hated the way that I looked. I hated the way I felt. I hated pregnancy. And that's sad. You're supposed to love it, right? Like, I feel like everybody has different experiences, but a lot of people love it. And I felt so guilty. Like, oh, I should love this. I'm gonna be a mom. This is so fun. And it is now, but anyways, so while being pregnant, I found out that I had gestational diabetes. And that's when like your placenta isn't working right and your pancreas, they're not working together. They're kind of fighting each other. And so you and the baby have problems with blood sugar. Anyways, so I had that and I found out late because I also had pneumonia for 2 months while
No.
pregnant.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was a long, long time. And I just kept getting sick. It would just keep coming back. And I have psoriasis too. So I get sick a lot in general. And then, like, on top of gestational diabetes, on top of being pregnant, like, it was just like I was constantly sick. I did not get COVID though. Like, I actually did
What?
not get COVID. I
Oh,
know.
that's
And there was a few times where like my in-laws got COVID, my brother got COVID, and I was pregnant and I just like stood away. Like, but then like I would miss them and I would go over and be like, I need like social connection with you. And anyways, and at the time we were living up north, so like Clearfield, Ogden area.
yeah.
We lived in a basement apartment there. Um, and it was great. Like, I loved everything about it. It's just I was getting sick all the time. I wanted to be by my family. So um I would come down here where I live now in Harriman a lot. And then I would go stay at my parents' house a lot too. But they lived in Riverdale. Um, if you know where that is. It's right by Ogden. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I um was just going through the motions of just being sick all the time and not really knowing what to expect in motherhood. Like I wanted a baby, but I didn't think I was gonna get pregnant that fast.
Yeah.
So it was all just kind of a shock for me. And I didn't want to feel that way. And then I hated my body. And then I hated everything that was happening to me. It was just like all encasing into one like
Yeah.
big problem.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just like was like, this is my reality. I need to get over it. Like, this is what's going to happen. I got to be in my best mindset. And I think I just put a lot of pressure on myself. And this is just leading to like the birth with my son. I had really high blood sugar still. And they were like, you're like 36 weeks. You could have this baby any day. We're not going to give you insulin because you're just going to get him out.
Yeah.
And my numbers weren't as bad as like somebody who needed like an emergency C-section like right now.
Gotcha.
Because then there would have been fluid in his lungs. There's just like literally, you name it, everything went wrong in my pregnancy.
Gosh.
And I also was contracting early on and like having real contractions and dilating, and it was just crazy. Anyways, so I remember this appointment so vividly because I was done. I was sleeping like this in the night, like sitting up.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. I was sitting
Oh,
up, sleeping, and I just was like, this is just not it. I can't keep doing this. It's making me insane. I accepted that I was going to be a mom. I accepted the responsibility. Like I just wanted to be done at that point.
yeah.
And my body was done being pregnant. Like done.
Yeah.
And it's also like kind of sad because I really wanted to have a lot of babies. And this kind of experience, my first time around, sucked and made me not want to have a lot of babies anymore. And that was really hard for me to accept too. But I remember this appointment, I went to my fetal medicine guy specialist
Yeah.
because I had to go to a specialist because my gestational diabetes and then preterm labor
Yeah.
contraction stuff. So I went to him and I was like, I'm just done. I can't keep doing this. And he just was like, talk to your doctor and say that you want to be induced early because I could say like you could be done. And at this point, I was 36 and 2 days. I mean, 30, yeah, 36 and 2 days. So I was like almost for full term, right? Like full term is 37. But I just like couldn't do it anymore. I begged and pleaded with him, and he finally was just like, yeah, I'll send this to your doctor so that she knows. And my doctor's so chill. She's like actually one of my best friends now. It's so crazy. But like she is so great and so amazing. But I just came to her and I was like, I'm just not okay. Like I need to be done.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the time, I look back at that and I'm like, no, the circus hasn't even started yet. Like you are just in the pre-beginning of crazy, of stress, of anxiety. Anyways, I didn't realize that. And I just said I was like done. And I was asked to be induced. And then she was like, honestly, with gestational diabetes babies, they're shaped like a triangle.
Okay.
Um, their like shoulders are a lot bigger than the rest of their bodies, and as well as their head. So like Westy now, he's in like the 87th percentile in head, but he's in like the third percentile in weight. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's just how my child is. That's just how he is. But um he just was gonna be built like a triangle. So they thought like this is your first pregnancy. He's probably not gonna fit through your pelvis. And I was like, okay, okay. And then they were like, what about a C-section? And I was like, a C-section. What? Like surgery? And they were like, yeah, it would be so much better because then he would be out. We wouldn't have to modern, monitor
Good job. You got
English,
it.
okay? They wouldn't have to monitor him as much. And I was done with the whole monitoring and stuff. Like I was done and contracting and sick of my glucose. And I just was done. Anyways, you get the point. I was done. And so I said yes to the C-section. And I had to sign like all these waivers and things because no one has done this. Like literally no one has done this. Other than my doctor. My doctor actually um asked for a C-section rather than to push. And she's an OBGYN. Like you like I'm gonna if she told me I could do it, if she can do it, I can do it. And so I was like, okay, sure. I'll just do the C-section. I had to sign all these waivers. Like I said, like no one does this. Everybody's wanting to push the baby out. Everyone. And I thought that's what I wanted to, but at the time, like I had all these like factors against me of he may not make it out. He may not be able to get out. He may like drop in his blood sugar while you're trying to do active labor and push. Um, his lungs were filled with fluid, and that's what happens with gestational diabetes too. And so he could have pneumonia if we wait longer, if he's in the womb. So I was just like, all this stuff was in my corner of you should get a C-section. This is the reason why. And so that's what I did. And I loved it. Like the C-section was not a big deal for me. That was like a piece of cake compared to the whole picture that's coming, you know? Like
Yeah.
I was like, this is easy, compared to like the stress and um the obligation of taking care of this young baby. Anyways, so we go in and I'm getting my IV and you know how that goes. Like you get your IV, you get all this stuff, and I kid you not, this is actually crazy. So they gave me 4 bags of saline. That's what you have to do for C-section. They give you 4 bags of
Your
saline
word.
so that your blood is really like going through, you know, because if you lose a lot and you give yourself water, then you're making a lot more.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want me to hemorrhage or like anything like that. So there was like all that. And I was like, I have to pee. And so I was like, okay, I go pee, I come out, the anesthesiologist is out there. I'm butt naked, you guys. Like, and then obviously, like, that's not weird because he sees naked women all the time. But
Yeah.
I am just like, this is so embarrassing. I'm like, this is so weird. I can't. And he like is talking to me. He's like, "Oh, I have 4 girls. Don't even worry. It's like nothing to me." And I was like, "Okay." Like I'm like walking around him. My butt is out. Like
Oh my
it's
gosh.
so embarrassing. And I just am like he's like going through all those procedures and stuff, like what he needs to do, what's gonna happen, and all this stuff. And I'm like, holy shiz. I am not ready for this. This is insane. Can I go? Like, I was like, this is not good. And I'm looking at Luke, my husband. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. And he's like, there's only 2 ways out, Ken. He, he's got to come out. And I just was like, and my adrenaline is so bad. I'm shaking. And the doctor's like trying to reassure me. And I was like, can I do like a spinal tap and an epidural so I don't feel anything? And he was like, why would you want that? I was just like, I don't know. I just don't want to feel like anything. Because like I've heard that sometimes they have to do that um to make them more numb. But I just like I literally don't want to feel anything. And I think that was what my terror was. It's not like having this baby. It was like this is gonna hurt
Yeah.
type deal. Anyways, so we go into the operating room and it took him, I kid you not, it took him like 20 minutes to get my spine to finally take the medicine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he's like going, you didn't have a C-section, did you?
I didn't. No.
But you had an epidural.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I get it. But mine was a spinal tap. Okay. So it's like higher on your back and it goes like you get like a catheter. I don't. Like they just put that ish all in. And there has to be like, and he's numbing my whole half of my spine, right? Because if I feel anything, you're just like getting your pelvis and like your legs a little bit. Mine's like the whole thing, literally the whole thing. And it was numb on one side, but it wasn't numb on the other.
Oh no.
And he just kept on being like, tell me right if it's right. Cause like I needed it to be on my right side. Because I couldn't feel anything on my left. But he was like, I am going seriously as deep and as right as I possibly can. And I just was like, this is not real life. I'm like literally shaking thinking about it. Like I was so stressed. I think that would be a traumatic thing for me next time. But like I seriously like he couldn't get it to work. And that was another thing that made me stressed. And so anyways, obviously he finally made it work. And Luke was like, there was blood everywhere. And I was like, don't even tell me that. Obviously he didn't tell me during, but he just was like, that was a fat needle in your back. Like that was insane. And I was just like, oh, don't even remind me. It's so scary. Anyways, so they're doing the procedure, and I kid you not, I literally see everything. Literally, I see
the C-section.
everything. Yeah, I saw everything.
Oh my gosh.
And it's because they didn't put the shade up high enough. So I could see in the reflection of the lights that were above, like I could see my guts. Like my guts were out, Addie. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I was so unwell. I was just like, and I was like, I'm gonna throw up. And he was like, no, no, no. And like the anesthesiologist was like hurrying because like if I throw up, I'll aspirate and die. And so they were like, no. They were like freaking out. Anyways, so they got that calm. And this is like 5 minutes in. I'm already freaking out, okay? And then I got calm because he like gave me some stuff to calm me down too. And I think he gave me a Xanax. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what he gave me, but it worked. I was like so happy. Anyways, so I literally, I kid you not, they were like, we're gonna pull him out now. And so okay, this is also crazy. I'm like jumping all over, and I'm sorry,
I love
but
it.
like
It's great.
my yeah, okay, my doctor and the laborist. I don't know if you know what a laborist is.
Yeah.
Do you know what a laborist is?
Yes, but maybe
okay.
for the people listening.
They're married. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes. Okay. So a laborist, yeah, they were married. And so a laborist is somebody who's like over the labor and delivery. And if one of the doctors can't come fast enough, they'll deliver the baby. So they're married. Okay. They're literally talking about their children while they're doing my C-section. And we're like talking about golf. I played golf in college. We're shooting the breeze just to calm me down a little bit. Anyways, they finally get Weston out. That's my son. And while they're doing that, he's like, now I'm going to press on you. This like 250-pound man is about to press on my chest to push my baby out. Because they open like this much for the head to get out. So you gotta like push in your guts to get the baby out. Okay. So he does that. And literally I thought I was gonna stop breathing. I was like, what is going on? And so he comes out, he comes sliding out because he has a ton of fluid because of the gestational diabetes and stuff. and he's not breathing. And that's where I was like kind of in a panic. Luke didn't want to tell me until later, but I was kind of in a panic because I didn't hear him cry. And so when he finally cries, like they know that like he has fluid in his lungs, and they're really worried. So they let me see him for like about a second, and then they swept him away to the NICU. Like the NICU people were there, the team, and they were ready to like get him situated and see what's going on with him. Anyways, so after I'm done, they close me up. I can't have Weston with me because the NICU team has to work on him and or see what his like levels will be, if his breathing's okay, like stuff like that. And so I was really sad because I thought I could hold my baby like right away. I was gonna do skin to skin, like I wanted to do all those things, and I couldn't because his lungs were so like full of mucus and like just like the fluid, the amniotic fluid, water basically, that were just stuck still in. And they told me that like he probably wouldn't have felt in my pelvis, but the reason why sometimes it's better for gestational diabetes to go through the pelvis and have a vaginal delivery is that they like you're almost like pushing the water out of their lungs, and so that's like one of the things that is beneficial. But they said they were like, I don't think you would have fit through your pelvis, which that made me feel more comforted because I was like, I did the right thing. Okay. But I couldn't see him. And so they said, we'll watch him for like a good chunk, like 5, 6 hours of that day right after I had him. I seriously, I don't know what they gave me. Seriously, probably a Xanax. But I was just so happy. I just wanted to eat so bad. I was starving because I didn't get to eat for like a long time, and I was starving. So I ate and whatever. And Luke's like, I'm gonna go check on Weston. Like, do you need anything? And I was like, oh no, you go, Luke. You're fine. It's fine. I'm eating my steak. I'm eating macaroni and cheese. Like, this is the best day of my life. I love it. Like, I don't know. I'm not really even thinking clearly, obviously. And so, anyways, he goes and he sees Weston and he takes pictures and he shows them to me. And they were like, he said like he's on oxygen and they're gonna test him in like an hour to see if he can go off. But they don't think that's gonna last, but they hope that it will. Anyways, obviously that night he doesn't get to come with us to our room. He has to stay in the NICU. And they said they were like, we'll just watch him for 2 or 3 days because nothing was wrong with him. Like he was perfect, other than he had fluid in his lungs, and that made me stressed. Um, Obviously. So then the next day we go over. And this is February. I had him on February 12th. Um, and this was February 13th. So the day before Valentine's Day. So this day it was crucial because in a 24-hour like time frame a lot changes, right? Because he's now out in the open and stuff like that. So they took off his because sometimes they're in this like incubator and it's closed. He had to stay in the closed incubator for the night. And I also, meanwhile, I'm not even breastfeeding. I don't know what I'm doing. This is like, no one's telling me anything. Like, I didn't know I was supposed to be breastfeeding my baby right then and there because I wanted to breastfeed. I just like, they don't tell me anything. I just am like, like I'm just like in my own little world. So I am like, okay, so do I get to breastfeed him or anything? They were like, not yet, because they were like, you can pump and stuff. But we just don't want to smother him right now. We want to see what his levels look like. And when I started breastfeeding, he never latched correctly. So it was never probably gonna work. But anyways, that's besides the point. So the next day was Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day was also crucial because then they finally took off his incubator, that he could, like, now he's off oxygen, he's breathing real air. They're trying to see and test because he's been doing so good. And so they're hoping like the fluid will just disintegrate and clear out on its own. And it was, but the problem was now he was having sleep apnea. And most babies, if not all babies, have sleep apnea. It's just Weston was on a monitor, so they saw it. So obviously they legally have to do something about it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they had to do something about it, and he had to go back on oxygen, but he could still be out in the open. This is all on Valentine's Day. And then later that night, they checked his belly ribbon, which is like your color, your melanin, your red cell count, whatever. And it was not good. So then now he had to be on lights.
Oh my
So then
goodness.
he was on lights. He was on, yeah, he was on lights. He was on the blanket. He was on, like, he was still on oxygen and stuff. Um, and so it was all in the matter of like 2 days where I was just like, holy cow, this is a lot. I started having a lot of anxiety. I started like being like, okay, once that's cleared, then we can go home. Then the next step is to go home. And that was what they told me. They were like Thursday, and this was like Tuesday. So in 2 days, they would be able to tell me more about like when he could go home and whatnot. And I was just thinking, okay, I just gotta wait 2 more days. And then it would be Wednesday, and they were like, he's not going home, not for a couple days, maybe even a week. And I was like, what? Literally, what? You just told me like this was one more level and he'd be fine. Well, then his sleep apnea kept coming back. And they obviously have like protocol and whatnot. Like, if you have to touch the baby to wake them up to get them to breathe more, that's a problem because obviously SIDS is like very real and scary and whatever. Anyway, so then I just was like, oh my gosh, I just got to make it to Thursday. And that was the next day after everything of the like touching him to wake him up, to breathe and whatnot. I was like, okay, his belly ribbon was good. His sleeping went good. He didn't need oxygen for a couple days. He's okay. Well, then they were just like, we're really worried about his sleep apnea because it happened again that night, the day that we were supposed to go home. And so I was just like, Weston, be freaking for real right now. Like, let's get our stuff together. Anyways, so they were like, we're going to have to put him back on oxygen. And it just made me so upset because there was like empty promises. I left the hospital 2 days ago to go home, and I'm leaving my baby, my brand new baby, at this hospital, and he's sick, and I can't take him home, and my parents haven't even met him. This was like a peak for him, peak COVID time. I couldn't even have my mom in the delivery room. I couldn't even have my in-laws come. I mean, like, seriously, it was insane. And there was just a lot of anxiety of like, everybody's asking me, when does he come home? When does he come home? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, this is a lot going on. And at the same time, I'm pumping. And for me, pumping made me depressed, just because with everything going on, I felt like it was another thing that I had to do or had to feel obligated to do. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like so done. So I stopped the whole pumping, breastfeeding journey really early, like 2 weeks, I think. I was really sad. When we finally got him to come home, he had to come home on oxygen. And I kid you not, this would only happen to me. I know it would only happen to me. But his monitor, so he had oxygen and he had a monitor, a heart monitor. Um, to measure his stats about his oxygen level, and it broke. Okay, it broke first
No.
night he came home from the NICU. It broke that night. Yeah, I like, and that's when right then and there I was like, I can't do this. Nope, I'm done. And I was like, I don't want anybody over. I don't want anybody to see me like this. I don't want anybody. And my mom was the only person that really knew what was going on. My mother-in-law, bless her soul, my mother-in-law was like, something's wrong with Kim. Like, you're gonna tell me, Luke. Like, tell me. Because like my mother-in-law and my mom are like my best friends. And they were like, something is wrong. Why doesn't she want me to come there? And it was because I was literally depressed. Like I was crying every second, saying, I don't want this baby. I don't want to take care of this baby. I can't do this. I'm a horrible mom. Like, like I just would go through these motions of constant something's wrong with me. Like why am I not loving this? And so she came up because Luke finally gave in. He was like, you know what, she's depressed. You need to come up. And so they came up, they cleaned my whole house. It was already clean, but they like reorganized everything because it made it more efficient. And it was. And they got rid of stuff that we didn't need. And like they brought us food, they bought us food, they did all these things. And I was just like, I can't take care of this baby. I finally broke to my mother-in-law and I was like, I can't do it. I'm so depressed. And she was like, you're coming home with me. We're gonna go home and I'm gonna take care of this baby and you're gonna rest and I will take the night shifts. So she literally, I kid you not, took the night shift, I think 4 nights. And I just slept. And it like seriously, I think it was sleep, like uh not having enough sleep that made me kind of more crazy. But I also was like very upset. Like I was obsessive over like, oh my gosh, like I'm a horrible mom. I'm not ready for this. I don't deserve this baby. This baby's perfect. I can't handle the amount of work around this child and like my healing. And then it was just a lot for me and I couldn't process it. And I was really depressed because I just felt like my life was over. Like seriously. I was like, Luke, our life is over. It's done. It sucks. We're over with. Like, we're never gonna do anything fun ever again. And this is just it. Like I can kiss everything that I wanted to do goodbye. Like it just felt like in high school, where you're like, oh, this is my life right now. Like, oh, this is forever. This is my world. And that's just what it felt like. And I was so grateful that my mother-in-law just completely like sweeped me and was like, yeah, you're coming home with me. I'm gonna fix this. Let's go. You can't be here and on your own. Obviously, like I don't trust you. Like it wasn't like I don't trust you with your child. It was like I don't trust you with you. And not meaning like I was suicidal or anything like that. But I just was like, I just don't want to be here anymore. Not like I want to die, but like I just don't want to be in this situation anymore. And she was just like, you're coming home with me. And I was like, okay. So it got better after that, but it was just a lot to process and a lot to um, go through at the time of every little thing happened within like, I kid you not, like a month. It was a lot.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's kind of the basis of it. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes, there we go.
how did you get, I mean, obviously your mother-in-law helped, but how did you get out of that state of that depression, that not feeling like you wanted to be a mom and to do anything? Like what advice do you have from your experience?
It's kind of tricky. I don't really know. I just kind of pulled myself out of it because I had so much help and I realized I have so much help. It's not just like me and Luke. It's we have our whole families. And I think it's more, I want to say stereotypical that people don't want their family coming over for a certain like extended of time. And I thought that's what I wanted to. But then I like realized, oh, I kind of need them like to be able to do this. Especially when I was transitioning from working full time to now I'm a mom and I stay home with this baby. So I needed help while Luke worked. And he still worked from home, but it's just hard, that dynamic. So yeah, I think I let go of the stereotypes and I let go of pushing people away. And I just let people in. For a long time, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this on my own and I've got this and I can do this. But then the reality obviously kicked in. You were like, you can, you're awesome if you can, but I couldn't. And so I needed to let that go. So yeah, and I've taken antidepressant slash anxiety meds for almost 4 years.
Okay.
So that helped me a lot too, because I was on my lowest dose ever because I was trying to get off of it, but it had like they said that it would give potentially complications to Weston, but I needed to like pick and choose, obviously. And so I tried to go low, low, low. And I think once I started going to my normal dose, that helped too.
Yeah.
I probably should have went to therapy because I literally I probably should have, but I didn't. And I think that's also like my degree is in marriage and family therapy.
Oh, awesome.
So I kind of was like, I can do it on my own. But I definitely couldn't. So if it wasn't for like my mother-in-law and my family like stepping in, I probably would have had to go to therapy and I probably would have had, I don't know what would have happened. Luckily, I didn't get to know what happened, but
Yeah.
I probably should have went to therapy.
Kim, I'm so glad. So
Me too.
for you ladies out there that are a mother, I mean, for me, postpartum depression hit around like 10 months. And I
Really?
hadn't heard about that ever. And then I was talking to my other friend who had a baby
Yeah.
around the same time as us, and same thing. She's like, yeah, around like 10, 11 months. It was like,
Wow.
because she was staying at home mom all the time, you know? And it was the same
Yeah.
kind of thing for me. I was a stay-at-home mom until the beginning of this year, because I was like, the same thing hit where I was like, I need to do something different. Like this is so it's normal for it to hit at any point. And so when you start to feel those things, go talk to someone, whether it's your family or
Yes.
because seriously, like, I don't know, because for me, it was the same thing. Like, I wasn't like letting my husband help. Like, I just wasn't. I was like, I'm the mom. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this. And so it's just that same
Mm-hmm.
idea of like, you need to let people help you. And it's so hard to
Yeah, totally.
put that aside sometimes and be
You
like,
also lived like far, you kind of lived in California, right? Like you lived
yeah,
in California, and so your mom was not there, so you kind of really had your own, like
yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. So like the first 3 months of my daughter's life, that's how it was. Like it totally was that way where it was like,
Oh my gosh.
this is it. Like my husband was gone a lot of the time. He had,
Yep.
thank goodness, the military gives a really great parental leave. And so he was, I think he had 6 weeks off where he was just home. But my mom
Yeah.
was there for 2 of the weeks and his parents were there for one of the weeks. And so it felt like I had a lot of help. But thankfully, I don't know, I felt like I could handle it okay. I just knew that I had to do it on my own. But then when I moved here and I could get the help, it was like, why would I ask for that help? I'm the mom. I'm the one that decided to have a kid. Like, da, da, da. And then finally, I just was like, no, I need to do what I need to do to
Totally.
be a stable human being. And so it's the same. It's the same. It goes for if it starts from the very beginning, it goes for if it starts in the middle, the end, or even like, I would even say probably like when they hit a year, because then they start going through, we were talking about this before we started the recording, but they go through all the tantrums, and it's like really hard. And it's hard to deal with the new changes. And so
Totally.
I guess Kim,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
when
And sleep regression is
oh yeah.
insane.
Yes, sucks bad. So Kim,
It's bad.
for you right
It's bad.
now, when
Anyways, you were saying.
feelings come up, so for you right now, when those feelings come up, what do you do right now?
Like when I feel depressed that way, like
Yeah,
anxious, you
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think it's a lot better for me now because I was living in like a basement apartment. So it's really dark, right? Like,
Mhm.
especially where I was living, it would just was so dark. Like literally there was probably about I can count 4 windows, like maybe four.
Oh, good.
And this was like an older house. So that was another thing. Like my in-laws were like, we're moving out. And we are so incredibly grateful because they own where we live now. They own our house now. And we are just so incredibly grateful that they were able to do that. But without that, I think that was also another thing to go off this question and the last is like, I needed to get sunshine. I needed to get like out of where I was living. And I needed to let go of what I felt was comfortable before because it's like we're far past that now, right? Like comfortable was like gone when you had the baby. I mean, well, before you even had a child, like it was gone when you found out you were pregnant.
Yeah.
And so I just think that I needed to get outside, number one, and I needed to raise my dose of medicine, and I needed to have more mom friends because a lot of my friends from high school and my childhood best friends, they don't have kids and they're not married. And that was really hard for me because I felt like also no one understood me, you know? And so, like, it was really hard in that sense. So I had to make new friends. So I was grateful for my ward because there was a ton of new families. There was a ton of people who were pregnant and were going to have babies like within the month. And I had just had Weston like a month and a half ago and moved here. But like they would have been best friends. Now my one of my best friends is who I did a podcast with now. My podcast 4 months younger than Weston, and they are literally best friends. And I mom friend, even if it's just one person, whether you talk to them every day, whether you talk to them like once a week, or you get together once a week, or however, like I think that's so crucial because you feel number one less alone. Two, you can talk to somebody about it that understands.
Yeah.
And three, you're able to get out and find a new comfort, you know? Like
Oh,
for her and we go to like lunch, or we'll go to Thanksgiving Point and bring our boys and stuff. We'll
oh,
or like something that we can do together and they're just there. That's just so crucial. And also doing things without your baby. That was really hard for me too for a really long time because like you said, I'm the mom. I'm supposed to be taking care of everything. Like not only do I have this husband that like kind of depends on me because I'm the mother, you know? Like
yeah.
he's working and I don't want to feel like make him feel like it's a burden or to like have like be so stressed like I was because I feel like in a way, and this may be controversial, but a woman and like the motherly like within you, like it's so real and you just know what to do. And for men, it's a little bit harder because they don't have that second nature like how us women do. We grew that baby. We know that baby, you know? And
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was really hard for me to like be like, I need to get out and leave my husband and my baby here. Even if it's for an hour, I have to get out because it's gonna make me go insane. Um, another thing that like really scared me too, and I should mention this because I feel like a lot of people have this problem too, is I had the nighttime scaries. You know how like people have like the Sunday scaries where like they have to go to work the next day? I had the nighttime scaries where I was so scared about he's not going to be able to sleep. I'm not going to be able to sleep. Luke's not going to be able to sleep. This sucks. But in the end, like you just like push through. Like I don't know how to explain it, but you just push through and it gets better every single day. So I feel like as anybody who's listening that is a new mom or is about to become a mom or is in like this like sleep regression, like I promise you it'll get over and you're gonna be like, oh, that wasn't that bad, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just you have to experience it. And
Yeah.
without experiencing it, you're not gonna like understand. Does that make sense? Like, I just feel like you're not gonna understand unless you go through it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kim, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with those listening?
I don't think so. Just for sure, if you have postpartum depression or if you even have any thoughts of like, oh, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to live with this little human? And you're upset or you're anxious and you have obsessive thoughts, like, please talk to somebody because I promise you, there are so many people and it takes a village to even raise one child, let alone like a ton of them. Okay. I have taken care of, I have a neighbor upstairs and she is going through postpartum depression. I just take her kids. Sometimes I just show up and I'm like, hey, you need to go take a nap. I'm gonna take the kids. They're gonna come down here with me. I'm taking your newborn baby. I'm sorry, but you need to go to sleep. I know you're worried, but she will be fine. You need to go. And it helps her so much. Like sometimes you just need to be that person that is like, you need to go. You need to go relax. You need to, but you need to talk to them too, you know? So I think it's just lean on somebody who you can trust, whether that's a friend, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your bishop's wife. Sometimes for me, I love my bishop's wife. Sometimes it's just the most randomest people that you just have to be like, okay, blah, like here's all the stuff that's going on with me. And most likely they're going to find a solution for you, or you're going to come up with one on your own. Together, though, like together, you need somebody else, not just your husband, not just you. You need to find somebody else to help you because that takes a lot, but it's going to be beneficial in the end.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Kim. And she does have a podcast.
You're
She did
welcome.
mention it. It's I'm Coming Over, and it's the cutest
You did.
podcast ever. So go listen.
Yes.
And thanks for being here, Kim.
Thank
It
you
was
for
so
listening
wonderful
to
having
today's
you.
episode on the Beyond the Mirror podcast, Women Embracing Self-Love and Healing. If you or anyone you know has a story to share, whether it be mental health, eating disorders, body image issues, and you want to inspire others, please send me an email or a DM on my Instagram. My email is on the screen and my Instagram is @health.hairwithad. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure others would love to be inspired by you. Thanks so much for listening today. We'll see you next time.